Hey, what's up? Do you want to build bigger and stronger muscles? Do you want to know the science behind muscle growth? If you answered yes, then this video is for you. In this video, I'm going to share with you 10 hypertrophy science-based tips that will help you achieve your fitness goals. Hypertrophy is the scientific term for muscle growth, and it happens when you expose your muscles to enough stress and stimulus. By following these tips, you will be able to optimize your training, nutrition, recovery, and supplementation for hypertrophy. But before we get into the tips, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Alright, let's get started with rule number 1. Focus on big compound movements for the bulk of your training. Compound exercises work multiple muscles simultaneously and will give you the biggest bang for your buck when it comes to muscle growth. In general, you want to choose 1 to 2 compound movements for each of the major muscle groups to include in your training. Rule number 2, choose isolation exercises for muscles you want to emphasize more. The first rule was all about big compound movements, but for a well-rounded program, you should also include some isolation work. Isolation exercises are those that train one muscle group at a time, and not several like compound movements. Rule number 3, manage your stress. Stress can interfere with hypertrophy, as it can increase your cortisol levels, decrease your testosterone levels, impair your digestion, reduce your appetite, disrupt your sleep, and lower your motivation. To manage your stress, you need to identify and avoid or cope with the sources of stress in your life. You can also use relaxation techniques such as meditation, breathing exercises, yoga, massage, or music to calm your mind and body. Rule number 4, prioritize training intensity. For muscle growth, you need to make sure you train with sufficient intensity so that your training actually stimulates growth. Rule number 5, make sure you train each muscle at least 2x per week. Traditional bodybuilding splits, where Monday is International Chest Day and you train each muscle group only 1 time per week, are not optimal for muscle growth. There are 2 reasons why this is the case. The first reason is that when you train a muscle, you only really stimulate muscle growth for 48 to 72 hours post-training. So, if you only train it 1x per week, you're not maximizing your growth potential. Instead, you should be training each muscle every 3 to 4 days, or at least 2 times per week. The second reason is that if you do all of your training volume for one muscle in one day, it's simply just too much work in one day and the sets towards the end of the workout suffer in terms of performance. Rule number 6, don't change up your training too frequently. It's easy to get frustrated when your progress slows down, which it inevitably will, and you'll want to switch programs. This is one of the biggest mistakes I see new lifters make, which prevents them from making progress long term. When you first start a new movement, your nervous system is learning how to perform it properly and you're not really taxing your muscles effectively because you're just not that good at the exercise yet. Once you've done it for a couple of weeks, you're way more proficient at it and you can target the muscle much more effectively. Rule number 7, don't ego lift. You always want to make sure you prioritize range of motion and technique over using heavier weights. Lifting in this fashion only increases your risk of injury and it isn't effective for muscle growth. You want to make sure you have good control of the weight you're using, implement proper lifting technique, and prioritize training through a full range of motion. There's ample research showing that full range of motion training is really important for muscle growth. Rule number 8, rest appropriately between sets. Your performance on each set is really important for muscle growth, so you need to rest enough to where you can perform pretty well on your next set. If you're still breathing hard from your last set, you haven't rested enough. For compound movements, you should rest at least 3 minutes between sets, and for isolation movements at least 2 minutes. This way, you're fully rested and can really push each set pretty hard. Rule number 9, follow a proper nutrition plan. For muscle gain, you need a calorie surplus, plenty of protein, and healthy meals at the right times. Protein is the main building block of muscle tissue, and it stimulates muscle protein synthesis, which is the process of repairing and creating new muscle fibers. Calories are the energy source that fuels your workouts and recovery. Rule number 10, choose a wide variety of rep ranges across different exercises. When it comes to muscle growth, it really doesn't matter how many reps you do. Anywhere between 6 and 30 repetitions is going to be equally effective for muscle growth. What matters most is the intensity on each of your sets and not necessarily how many reps you perform. However, using different rep ranges on different exercises can help optimize your progress in the gym. That's it for this video on 10 hypertrophy science-based tips to build muscle and strength. I hope you found it helpful and informative. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.